Welcome to Belief Busters Podcast, where we change the world one belief at a time. True transformation happens when we question if the beliefs we hold are of truth, or simply someone else's belief that we have internalized as our own. I'm your host, Rev. Cherie Taylor-Jones, and I'm glad you could join us on the journey. Our guest is Gail Hamilton. She is a powerful, inspirational, and entertaining speaker, author, performer, and facilitator who is totally blind. Independence, strength, and resiliency are words that describe Gail. Her unstoppable, soaring spirit has led Gail to publish her memoir, Soaring into Greatness, a blind woman's vision to living her dreams and fly. Gail has electrified audiences to live unstoppable, unforgettable, and unbelievable lives. She has experienced firsthand what it is like to cope with and overcome a disability, walk through societal, personal, and career discriminations, and how to endure mental and physical atrocities. Gail has learned that we must choose to align ourselves with our passions, focus our mind's attitude on positivity, and take action, allowing us to harness our adversities and break through our barriers, creating a life of greatness. Gail, so excited to have you on this show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's just going to be such a powerful and juicy conversation. So we discussed that we were going to talk about the false belief that not just you have, but so many of our listeners have, that someone's better than we are, or someone of this class or this income is better than we are. And for you, it was really interesting to hear that you had to break through a belief of every sighted person was better than you were.
Yeah. That was a big belief to break through. Absolutely.
Yeah. And where did you get that message that every sighted person was better than you were?
I probably got it initially, of course, from our parents, which is where we get a lot of our high quality beliefs from.
Yes.
Which aren't true, but we think they are,
Yes.
So I thought that they were better than I was, Not only do I believe, but then I sucked them in to believe that they were true, that I'm blind, I'm not as good as they are, I'm worse than, I'm not equal to. And I think being blind, it's everywhere in my life in a way, because a lot of times society, just thinking about unemployment for the blind population, it's 90%.
Yikes.
And it's not because we're stupid.
No.
It's because people don't think that somebody who's blind, they have low expectations of us. So they don't think. So every day I'm hit with that belief that I'm not as good as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so every day I have to, in a way, I don't like this really, but I have to prove myself that, yes, I am. What just popped in my head was when I was Miss Colorado Senior America, and even in the nationals where I was fourth in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I had to prove that I had to practice so hard to be equal to the sighted contestants. So I had to learn how to walk, and they couldn't just say walk. Like
Right.
I could see them how they do it. I had to learn how to do it gracefully, and I did it with a seeing eye dog, because I wanted him on stage with me.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. But I had to learn how to smile, because I thought you smiled like this, and then I had to learn it was like that. But how do I know? And to wave. So everything I did, I had to work so many more hours than people that were sighted, just so I could prove to somebody, I don't like proving, that I could be equal to.
Mm-hmm.
And even at nationals, oh, you can't bring your dog on stage. Well, I want to bring my dog on stage. Well, no, you can't. It's like, because they didn't want to. They said, pick your battle. Do you want to be the national Miss America, or do you want to bring your dog on stage? I went, I want to be both. Why can't I be me? Yeah. So it's sort of been everywhere, but it stemmed with my parents being not good at, the same as. And then, all the way through high school, I'm back in the day, I had books in Braille, and
Mm-hmm.
it took like 3 or 4 months to get those books to me, where sighted kids had their books right away. So I would
Yes.
and all the way through college, I would always be 3 months behind because I never get my books in time. So I
Wow.
always felt less than. I always felt more stupid and not as smart as,
Yes.
and that was hard going through life that way too, just high school and college. I mean, that's a lot of your formative years,
Yes.
much less all the other stuff I was facing in my personal life. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what was the process for you to really assess and discern, are these beliefs really true? And then, like, how did you release them and create new ones?
For me, I did like at least a decade worth of psychotherapy because
Good.
I became really suicidal at a point, like 4 or 5 times.
Honey.
And yeah, and I knew enough to go get help. And so, fortunately, I had a therapist that believed in, well, she was Gestalt psychotherapy and EMDR, and I did both of those. And and then I get suicidal, and then we'd kick and scream my way out of that, and then I'd get it again. And I was in a really bad relationship at the time, and that just, and the good news, bad news, it brought it all up to the
Yes.
surface, you know, like, woo, thank you, because I didn't know any of that existed, and so and then because of the relationship, it all came out, and I discovered it also, and that just got me more depressed. And my partner didn't think, again, I wasn't good enough, and I wasn't, so I didn't get supported
Right.
there either. So finally, after enough kicking and screaming, I kind of got it that I'm okay, and it was just these other people's beliefs of me. And then, of course, reading books, and eventually finding, a good church, and all that helped me come out of that. And once I learned that it's what's between my two ears that mattered, that if I think of myself as less than and not as good as, and all that, then that's the way I was going to portray myself in the world. I had no idea I was a victim. I didn't know I was being a victim. I didn't know, I thought, and I blamed, and I thought it was all my external circumstances, and, it was everybody else's fault but mine. And a lot of it was external. I mean, my life really was horrible. I mean, physical abuse from my parents, and suicidal thoughts, and society saying you're no good. So there's a lot to push me down. But then I sucked it all in as that belief. And I had to undo all that
Right.
to know that I was okay. And once I learned that, oh, I have choice of how I choose to live, then my whole life turned around.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
For people who may be in that same situation of feeling like everyone else is better than they are, what steps would you suggest for them to take?
Well, I have lots of different philosophies. One of them is, find somebody, a church, a person, first you have to have the desire to heal. Some people don't have that desire. So
True.
I kind of look at it like teaching piano. You have to have the desire to learn how to play the piano. So you have to have the desire to heal. I always had the desire to fly in a way. That's my whole thing, is flying, wings to fly. I always wanted to be Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I always thought, wouldn't it be cool to be a bird? I mean, I'd never seen a bird, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool to be free to fly? And he says, in that way old book,
Yeah. Still
way old
powerful
book,
today.
he says, your whole body from wingtip to wingtip is a thought in a form that you can see. Break the chains of your thoughts, and you break the chains of your body too. And I don't know
Yes.
if I knew that when I was a kid, but it's like, oh, you think yourself is old. You're old.
Yes.
So you have to have the desire to heal, the desire to play the piano. Then you have to get the tools, and the tools could be reading books, the tools could be psychotherapy, it would be, to me, is journaling. I still love journaling.
Mm-hmm.
It could be walking, it could be running, it could be doing something, but you have to have a means, a vehicle to handle what is going on in your life. And some people like to cook, some people garden. Even during the pandemic, we all went back to our tools. To me, I went back to writing because that's what I
Mm-hmm.
do. Then you have to find a mentor. So in piano, it's a piano teacher. And the tools in piano, of course, the bench and the light and the music stand, that would help.
Right.
But, and then you have to mentor, because it would be a church, it could be a teacher, it could be just anything that you find inspiration from somebody that's gone through whatever you're dealing with before you, and
Yes.
that latch onto that person, because there's always somebody ahead of you and there's always somebody behind you.
Yes.
So you're just where you are, and that's okay to be where you are. It's totally good. For me, it was a psychotherapist, somebody that loved me unconditionally, and no matter what I did, no matter how I stopped myself, she would say, "You okay? You want to go? You want to go through this?" Yeah. I was the kind of
Mm-hmm.
person that wanted to heal no matter what and how long it took. I didn't want to just do the surface work. I wanted to find out, how come was I so suicidal? How come I'm so unhappy? What happened? What
Right.
now and then. And then you have to keep practicing, practicing, practicing. So in the belief system, that's for piano. You practice until you get it to where you want it to be. But in the belief system, that's a practice thing too.
It
Affirmations.
is.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. Thank you. I'm. There was a daily word. It says, "Oh, I am divine light of God in creation. I'm whole and holy. I'm peaceful, loving, and wise. I'm free." I read that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I still use that. I memorized it. I turned it into a little song, and it's still, it's one of my favorite little affirmations. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to practice those affirmations. You have to practice with your faith. You have to practice being positive. And then, of course, then you have to take action. Of course, someday where along this line, you're going to have to do that and believe in yourself. And then, you get to celebrate at the top. But my three keys kind of to success are alignment with God. You have to be authentic, and you have to have a positive attitude and take action.
Great. What would you like folks to walk away from this conversation really getting, like that will change how they think about themselves and push through the limiting beliefs?
No matter how hard it is, because there is a hard, and we all have a hard, no
Mm-hmm.
matter how hard, there's always light, and you will make it to the light. You will make it through it. There's always somebody there that can help you through it if you can't do it yourself, but you will make it. This is only temporary.
Yes.
And this too will pass, in a way.
Yes.
The more you're willing to be vulnerable and to face that dark, the quicker you'll go through it.
There's so many times that we hear things, like this too shall pass.
Mhm.
And once we're in the midst of it, sometimes it's
Oh, yeah.
so difficult to
Yeah.
ever even hold that hope,
Yeah.
that this is going to pass.
Yeah.
But our listeners, from experience, it does feel interminable at sometimes, but it does pass. And we just have to really have hope and hang in there. But what I love about what you said was really getting help. Like, we do not have to do this ourselves.
Yeah.
We can reach out to folks because other people are going through the same things that we are. We often, when we're in that kind of dark loop, we think we're the only ones experiencing this.
Yep.
No one else is
Yep.
having these kind of
Right.
issues.
Yep. And
And that's
everyone is.
everyone
Everyone.
is.
Everyone is. It may
Everyone
not be the
is.
same exact issue, but it's the same, and they can empathize with you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And to me, that's the strongest key in getting out of that darkness is being able to reach out to someone, to really get that you're not alone, that there is someone else out there who's willing to support you emotionally and walk alongside of you.
Yeah.
And for me, that was really a game changer when I realized that there are so many people out there that are experiencing so many similar issues and feelings that I was experiencing. And then it was kind of like, I'm not a freak. No,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
it's part of the
Absolutely.
human
Yeah.
condition.
Yep. Yep. And the more we go through that, the more we face it, then the next time it comes along, we go, at least for me, I went, oh my God, I already did this other thing over here. So if I could do
Mm-hmm.
that one, if I can be suicidal 5 or 10 times, this other thing, like this past March, losing a dog, it was
Yes.
traumatic, but it wasn't as hard, and it
Yes.
didn't last as
As
long
long.
as the other ones did.
Yes.
So you kind of go, oh, okay, and then you learn that it's, you'll be okay, and there's a lesson somewhere, um,
Yeah.
or a reason that everything happens.
Yeah, it's true. It's almost like we're building up a tolerance of how to navigate in the world. Like we're not taught when we're young that, these things will happen and you're going to go through them. And then there's a cycle and you're going to have feelings and, your thoughts create your feelings. And if you're able to unpack those thoughts, then, you have an option of choosing to think about the situation differently. We're not taught those things when we're young.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And so that's the part of where we get resilience, when we learn those techniques and we learn that we have power over the thoughts, power over our emotions. Like those things don't define us, that we do have a choice of kind of stepping outside of that loop.
Yeah. I say in some of my speeches, you can be the victim of your circumstances or the creator of them, and you have choice,
We do have a choice. So Gail, tell us a little bit about how people can get in contact with you and download or buy your book.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So I'm all about flying. So surprise, surprise, everything has to do with soaring. So my book is Soaring into Greatness. My website, Soaring into Greatness. So you could go in there and get a link to Amazon, or you can just buy it directly from Amazon. Of course, my email is Gail at Soaring into Greatness, and that's also on my website. So everything is Soaring into Greatness.
So what's next on your agenda? What do you see yourself doing next?
Well, I keep on keeping on, and just auditioned on Saturday to do a TEDx talk. So it's like, I wonder if I get to do that. So I was one of 25 people. If I get to be the top 10, I'm going to go do that. I may have another book or two in me, so I may do that just because.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us and just be willing to have this vulnerable discussion.
My pleasure, anytime.
Thank you. For our podcast posse of Belief Busters, we just want to remind you that the life that you create is your choice. You have a choice in what you think, you have a choice in what you believe, and at any time you can change those and create a rich, fulfilling life. If you are enjoying these conversations about assessing your belief systems and how to transform outdated beliefs, then please subscribe and give us a positive review. To support this podcast and its transformative work, you can also become a sponsor for as little as $5 a month. You can reach Rev Cherie at info@beliefbusterspodcast.org. To continue on this journey of evolution, you can also get my book, Turning Your Why into Why Not, at Amazon or any other bookstores, which gives you practical tools to do this work. See you next time on the flip side.